So with the Nintendo president finally confirming the existence of the Nintendo Switch 2 and the successor to the Nintendo Switch, everybody is very excited and looking forward to the reveal for the next generation Nintendo system. And while it's going to be a little bit until we get to that and actually see the reveal trailer and what the system is going to be like and what it's going to be called and everything, we are just going to be getting more and more leaks and rumors as we're getting closer to that day. And today it seems like one of the first major games that could be coming out from Nintendo on this next system could have just gotten leaked from a very credible source. And so this information is coming to us from Midori, who, if you don't know, has been around on Twitter for a few years, and she's become a very credible leaker in especially leaking stuff when it comes to Sega and Atlas and Persona related leaks, as pretty much every single thing that she said about those types of things has ended up being true. However, she does have leaks from other companies and other announcements from time to time, and this time it could be something big when it comes to Nintendo. And so this is definitely a pretty credible source. I mean, she's got over 100,000 followers on Twitter now from all of the accurate leaks that she's given us. And so let's take a look at the information that she gave us when it comes to this Nintendo related leak. So a few days ago on Twitter, Midori posted this tweet right here where she said, "There is a project at Nintendo with the codename Yu-King-O. It might be related to the rumors of the next Nintendo console codename." And so that's basically all the information that she gave us, that she's aware that there's some project at Nintendo right now with the codename Yu-King-O. So what are we supposed to decipher from this? Like, Yu-King-O could be anything. We don't really have any idea, but that is until somebody decided to do some digging and we found out exactly what this game could potentially be. Now, if we take a look here on the Zelda wiki, we can find a lot of information about Zelda games, but specifically on this page here for Breath of the Wild, we can see that it says right here, Breath of the Wild's internal project name is Yu-King. And this is official information because this is coming from somebody who's looked through the code of the game, as if we click on the source right here, it says the executable binary is called Yu-King and numerous other assets refer to the game as Yu-King. So literally inside of the code of Breath of the Wild, Nintendo officially refers to Breath of the Wild by the codename Yu-King. And so now going back to the Midori leak, if she's saying here that there's a project at Nintendo with the codename Yu-King-O, then we can most likely guess that the Yu-King part of it probably means something to do with Breath of the Wild, but what does the -O mean? And for that, we actually have somebody here in the comments who was able to figure it out, as this person put a reply here saying, "This is an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's codename is Yu-King. For Switch 1 ports, Nintendo likes to add on the suffix -S to a game's codename, but this one has a -O suffix which they have never used before. I think this is for the successor." And then Midori even replied here by saying, "And -C is for the 3DS because for the 3DS it's CTR." So basically here it seems like Nintendo likes to add the suffix of a dash and a letter for whatever system a codename for whatever game that they're talking about is going to be on. And so for Switch games, it's always the codename for the game followed by a -S because it's going to be on Nintendo Switch. Except for now they're using -O, which we've never seen before for any type of Nintendo codename, which would most likely mean that it's probably for a system that hasn't been announced yet, being the Nintendo Switch successor or the Switch 2. So this most likely means now that they're probably working on some type of project with the codename Yu-King with Breath of the Wild -O, so some type of Breath of the Wild or enhanced version of Breath of the Wild like what this person is saying, or like a Breath of the Wild remaster coming for the Nintendo Switch 2. And this actually gets even more credible because this was actually discovered just a few days ago that the real codename for the next generation Nintendo system seems to be Ounce, and that the Nintendo Switch 2 codename might actually be the word Ounce because this was actually leaked by Nintendo in one of their own firmware updates that happened last year. So if we take a look down here, we can actually see right here that it says here on the version 16.0.0 version for the Nintendo Switch firmware, if we take a look down here, there's actually a highlighted portion right here that says that they added something here and they added SSL_trustedsearch.ounce.bdf. So .ounce means that it's something here for a system or like a platform that we haven't really seen yet because they usually always have it here for the Nintendo Switch. So it seems like Nintendo may have accidentally leaked something in terms of like firmware for their next generation system and then also leaking the code name for that system as well. So now think about all of this because ounce starts with the letter O. And so now if we go back to the Midori leak, if we're saying here that there's going to be something here with Yu-King O, now it's getting more and more interesting because it seems like Yu-King has definitely something to do with Breath of the Wild, and then Dash O, if the Switch successor is going to be called Ounce, then Dash O just makes perfect sense with it being for the Switch 2. So yeah, I feel like it seems like it's just getting more and more credible now that there really is going to be something with Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, if you guys remember the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks that came out last year around August from Gamescom, these were actually some of the more credible leaks that we had, and we had a ton of people reporting on it and a lot of information getting out there. One of the biggest things that we actually got from all of this was that Nintendo was apparently showing their partners and third-party publishers a souped-up version of Breath of the Wild potentially running on the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, and this was shown to people behind closed doors during Gamescom, and so this was one of the big things that actually came out in a lot of the reports, that apparently Nintendo was showing them like a version of Breath of the Wild. It was apparently upscaled to 4K, it was in 60 FPS, it looked really good. Nate the Hate even described it by saying that load times were virtually gone and it was basically loading stuff immediately. It was like a really fast version of Breath of the Wild just running and looking really nice on the Nintendo Switch 2. And so at the time we thought like maybe this was just kind of a prototype and Nintendo was just kind of showing developers what the system is capable of. But now with all of this, what if that souped up version of Breath of the Wild is actually going to be planned to be releasing alongside the Nintendo Switch 2 or just coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2? It seems like Nintendo might actually be deciding to do that now. But I also want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the possibility of Nintendo potentially releasing like a Breath of the Wild remaster or something like that for the Nintendo Switch 2, because I honestly don't know how I would feel about this depending on how Nintendo decides to go about it. There's already a ton of people who've played Breath of the Wild, and we can take a look right here on Nintendo's official website for the best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch, where we can scroll down right here and see that coming in at number 4 is Breath of the Wild at almost 32 million copies sold. So this is honestly one of the most popular games that's available on the Nintendo Switch. A ton of people have already played it. And so if Nintendo is really trying to do like a full-on remaster or re-release of Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch 2, it really kind of makes you wonder like how many of you guys would actually buy that again for entire full price if it's going to be like $70, because I fully expect Nintendo to embrace like the $70 pricing for all of their major games on the next system. Like definitely expect all of your big Mario games, big Zelda games, Splatoon, Xenoblade, Smash Bros, all of that is going to be $70 on the next system. I'd be very surprised and impressed if Nintendo still decides to keep it 60. I feel like they're just going to be like, well, PlayStation's doing it, Xbox is doing it, we have our new system now, no reason for us to not do it too. So I'm fully expecting that, and so that's why I'm really saying like a lot of people have already played Breath of the Wild. Like there's 32 million copies basically that have been sold for this game that people have already played. So how many would actually be willing to fully pay full price again for a Breath of the Wild re-release on a new Nintendo system? I just feel like for me, like I'm not even a huge fan of Breath of the Wild to begin with, so I feel like if you're a Breath of the Wild super fan, obviously you're gonna probably buy this no matter how much it is for the Switch 2 just to have like the best experience and play it again, I guess. But for me, like I really don't see a reason to pay $70 and buy this for full price because I already have Breath of the Wild, and I feel like I've already played it, I've already experienced everything, and I don't really want to pay full price just to play this game in better quality with better graphics and better performance and all of that. So it really kind of makes you wonder, because the Nintendo Switch is most likely definitely going to be backwards compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. Like all of the rumors and everything are saying that your Switch 1 games that you currently have, whether they're digital or physical cartridges, you should be able to play them on the next system as well. So if you're already going to be able to do that, then it really kind of just becomes kind of like a Last of Us 2 type of situation, where Last of Us 2 came out on the PS4 and it can still be played on the PS5 if you put in the PS4 disc, but they still had a Last of Us 2 like PS5 remaster that just came out like a few months ago earlier in the year. And so would Nintendo really decide to do something like that, where you're going to have a Breath of the Wild remaster when you can still play Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2 through backwards compatibility anyway? It just gets kind of interesting. I don't really know what Nintendo is planning to do about all of this, because it's definitely different here than coming from something like the Wii U, where if we take a look here on the Wii U game sales, obviously here we can see like Super Mario 3D World and like Mario Kart 8, they've all sold under 10 million, and a lot of people just didn't get to experience these types of games on the Wii U because the system sold very poorly. And that's why when these games came to the Nintendo Switch, they all sold an extremely high amount, because it was basically like putting new life into those games and a lot more people got to experience them. So That's why Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and like Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury and the New Super Mario Bros. U and Mario U and Deluxe and Luigi U and all of them, they all sold really well on the Nintendo Switch. But that's what I mean is like, what do you do when you already have a game that sold 32 million basically and try to re-release that on the next gen system? Like, I feel like especially if it's full price and if that's the only way that you can get it, I just feel like there really isn't any incentive for me to go out and buy it. Now, there is one option that Nintendo could do which could make me consider this, and that's that they're actually thinking about the people who already have Breath of the Wild and offer some type of upgrade program to be able to get the new version of Breath of the Wild for whatever this like Switch 2 version is going to be. And a lot of games have actually done this with like the PlayStation 4 version coming to the PlayStation 5 version, where there's kind of like a small upgrade fee or something that you have to pay. Some really nice developers have actually given like full-on free upgrades. Like I know for Final Fantasy VII Remake from the PS4 to the PS5, you can just put in your PS4 disc and you actually get a free upgrade to get all of the new upgraded performance and graphics and everything on the PS5 version of the game. But I feel like Nintendo is probably going to be kind of a little scummy with this and probably has some type of pricing on it. But even if that's the case, if there's some type of small upgrade fee that you can pay for people who already have Breath of the Wild, and you can just put in your current Breath of the Wild cartridge, pay like the fee for like $5, $10, whatever it is, and then have that get upgraded to the Switch 2 version, and now you get the upscaled 4K, you get the 60 FPS, you get the virtual zero loading times and all of that, and you get all of the added performance, and you get to play it like that, then for $5 or $10, I could definitely do that and still be able to play that and experience the game through all of the new upgrades and things that they're doing with the next system. I just don't want to pay full price again for a game like this because I've already played it years ago. I don't really love it so much to the point where I really want to pay full price for it again. So I am hoping that Nintendo does decide to think about this because they do know that there's a ton of people who already have Breath of the Wild. And so that's why I feel like the amount of people who would be willing to pay for it full price again on the Switch 2 probably isn't going to be as high as they think. Like obviously some people will, but I just feel like with 32 million people already having the game and still being able to play it, if there's going to be backwards compatibility, it's going to be kind of a tough sell to try to get people, unless they've never played Breath of the Wild, to pay a very high price and get like the Switch 2 version of it. But like I said, if there is going to be some type of upgrade plan that you can do, and if you can do this for a lot of other games that are coming from Switch 1 to Switch 2, that could definitely be a really cool thing that they could consider, and I'd definitely be willing to do that for a lot of games like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade 3. A lot of these types of games getting upgrades on the Nintendo Switch 2 would be very nice, and I am really hoping that Nintendo does decide to do something like that. But yeah, there you go guys, that is pretty much all the information that we have right now about the possibility of Breath of the Wild getting some type of remaster or re-release on the Nintendo Switch 2. If you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm definitely going to have some more videos talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 as the information comes out, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. Would you be excited for a remaster or re-release of Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch 2 with upgraded performance features and all of that? Would you be willing to pay full price for it again if that's the only way that you can buy it? Or are you also like me and hoping for some type of upgrade plan or something like that that you can do with the current game if you already have it? How do you guys feel about all of this? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about this, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.